It's been 3 months since it ended. My recovery is dragging and I'm beginning to wonder if I should already be over this. I see the same people every day in this small town, but I still feel the cold shock of loneliness with each look that comes my way. It's a kind of shock that only trauma makes so lasting. It's as if their eyes all carry the same message: you're alone. You'd think that all the other normal day-to-day activities would make the transition easier or less lonely. Each one of those familiar faces is just as nice and friendly as before, but now, every now and then, there is the odd gesture or remark that makes me realize that they've been secretly discussing the inner workings of my life. It's as if they were a team of medical experts performing exploratory surgery on my open body. They inspect my organs as separate entities from me, as though they can tell better than me what failed where. I hear their conversations indirectly through the echoes of my anesthesia. What do they see that I never could? It makes me fantasize about all the regular strangers I see every day. I want them to talk to me, and I want to start over with people that don't know my history. People that I can speak with and not feel an awkward obligation to talk about how I've been getting along. Sometimes I begin to wonder about how I learned to love. Like maybe if I think about it hard enough, I can get to the root of this feeling and undo it. Maybe I can master it almost scientifically through an awareness of its origins. I guess my parents were the first example or lesson about love, though mine were hard-pressed to embrace even for the length of a photograph. I couldn't find the answer there, so then I turned to cinema, which presented a romantic ideal, a false ideal. But still, it taught me about the potential of love. It doesn't make sense to be mad in an art form, but from the most trite flings to the greatest loves, even onto documentaries, cinema portrays fantasy. I felt cheated that my parents didn't look like that together. I felt cheated that my boyfriends didn't treat me that way. I felt cheated that not one single story out there could accurately describe the complexities of love. I knew this, but knowing didn't change the fact that I wanted that kind of love. Something worth telling a story about. Then there was us. We felt like the beginning to one of those great stories that end up a cinematic classic. I first started to fall in love with you when we would walk from one end of town to the other. I'd ask you if you'd like to cross again, and you would say yes until we got too cold or tired to keep going. Even after the weather turned too bitter for us to enjoy the walk, we'd continue on, not wanting those moments to end. Everything within me was yelling, screaming even, that our relationship was important, and it continued to feel that way after you left. Those echoes refused to leave the chambers of my body. Girls, come back to bed. It's fucked up. Everything that indicated our relationship was over only empowered us to continue. It's terrible that we continued to do the things we would do to each other despite knowing better. And it was hopeful but foolish that I thought we had all the time in the world to fix our problems. What was the relationship to love that kept us going? How was it that despite the impassioned reconciliations that followed every big and minute fight, a part of you would just go missing? Why did you let go of pieces of yourself each time you broke down? I knew it was hard, but I thought we were growing closer through it all. I didn't know what was going on behind your eyes, but I trusted that you would let me know if it was something important. I guess my biggest mistake was trust in spite of all these things. But really, before too long, I began to notice that behind your eyes was a lament dedicated to your growing numbness. You didn't treat me well. Sometimes you were mean and distant and incredibly selfish. And I still don't know if it's because you didn't know how to be in a relationship or if maybe you were too mentally unstable to really put in the effort. Your need to control the situation or the conversation or whatever led to an absolute instability in our relationship. You couldn't speak your mind because you were afraid. But I also treated you poorly. I knew your greatest weaknesses and I'd point them out to you blatantly. I needed my own power, my own control over conversations and outcomes. I felt I needed to protect myself. You'd think after all the relationships I'd have known better. I guess this is how it goes. I'm hoping that now if I were to see you, I'd feel nothing. That I'd force the muscles in my body to turn me towards you only to acknowledge you from a distance. And with twice as much effort, ask those muscles to turn away from you. Then I'd have to try to revive the strength in my legs, hopefully in their awakening, detach myself from the memories associated with each facial expression and movement you possess. There, I'd forget what they meant and what they now mean. I know, though, that when I see you, I'd feel all of it. But I've rehearsed the movements. All you'd ever know would be the cold stare of my eyes through you, then the cold turn of my body away. Maybe you've forgotten my facial expressions, my movements, buried the pictures and thrown away the letters. It shouldn't matter to me. It doesn't. But I'm walking away from you towards new. I'm going now. Goodbye.